Hello students, myself Professor Chaitali Patil, and today I am going to teach you the basic concepts of data structure. So the objective of these lectures are you will be able to know the simple program design approach, then the basic concepts such as data, data type, data object and data structure. And yes, at the end all of you will know the power of ADT, that is abstract data. So let's start. Okay, so first slide is introduction to the programming. Okay, this is a simple diagram of processing of a program. Okay, all of you we know that computer is a hardware and we give data as an input to the computer with some set of instructions, that is a program. Okay, so program and some data we give as an input to the computer, and whatever instructions we have given, according to that instruction, according to that program, the computer generates the output. Okay, but why we use generally a computer? We use computer to solve some complex problem. Okay, so for solving some complex problem, we always have to give some data, and usually for solving a complex problem, a data as an input given to the computer, to the program, is also complex. Okay, and then how to store that data? That data is also stored in some manner. Okay, after storing that data, for a program we require some algorithm in which way the data is to be processed by a computer to get the desired output. So this is the basic concept of the processing of a program. Okay, so here the application is very simple, but as I told, generally we use a computer to solve a complex problem, and for that we require a lot of data. Okay, so why the data structure is required? Consider a general real life example. Suppose you want to find out one book for any subject in a library, and suppose in that library the books are not organized well. The books of all the subjects are mixed together and are in any shelf. Okay, so library is not at all organized. So for finding particular book, you will require a lot of time. Why? Because one by one you have to go through all the shelves for finding that particular book, right? But consider another library where all the books of all the subjects are organized properly in all the shelves. For example, a subject 1 books will be available in, say, suppose one shelf. Another subject 2 books are available, all the books of subject 2 are available in, say, shell number 2. Likewise. Okay, so if you want to search a book from a subject to, you will directly go to the shell number 2 and you will try to search that book. It means for finding, for searching a book, if the books are organized according to the subject in a shell, it will reduce your searching time. Why it is? Because the books are organized properly in all the shelves. Right? So this concept can be applicable to our data structure. If the data which we want is stored properly, then it can be retrieved efficiently whenever we require. Okay, so that is the data structure. Okay, so next point, I hope all of you got the concept of data structure. Next point, the relationship among algorithm, data and data structure. Okay, data. What is data? Data is nothing but the piece of information. Okay, for any program, for any application, we give data, raw data as an input, and we get some output as a information. Now there are two types of data, atomic data and composite data. Now What is atomic data? If a data that we have considered is as a single entity, if the data cannot be decomposed into multiple entities, then it is a atomic data. For example, the consider the integer number 1234. Okay, this number is considered as a single entity. If we decomposed it, we'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 as a single separate digit. But if we decomposed it, then that integer value will don't have any meaning. It means we cannot decompose this data. Okay, so it is a atomic data. Another example, composite data. Another type, sorry, is composite data. Okay, now what is composite data? It is opposite to the atomic data. If we can break the data into different subfields which will have proper sub meaning, then it is called as a composite data. For example, consider a mobile number. Okay, mobile number, first two digits in a mobile number represents a country code. Landline number, next three digits represent the area code, right? So even if we decompose the first two digit and remaining 8 2 digit in a mobile number, then it will have some meaning. First two digit it will give you the country, and remaining 8 digit will be used to identify the person to whom that mobile is belong, right? Similarly, another example of composite data is your PRN number. Again, a PRN number which will have a multiple digit, and each digit will have some meaning, right? For example, first digit will represent will give the information, the college code. Next four digit, the admission year in which you have taken the admission. Next two digit gives the information of the branch in which you are studying, likewise. Okay, so PRN number is also the example of composite data. Okay, so data can be a atomic data can be a composite. Now next term is data type. Data type refers to the kind of data a variable may store, right? There can be two data types, built-in data type and user-defined data type. Now, what is built-in data type? In general, programming languages have their own built-in data types. For example, C++ languages support integer, float, character data types, right? So these are the built-in data types of that particular programming language. Built-in data types of programming language may differ according to the programming language. Now, next, user-defined data type. User can define his or her own data type. It is called as user-defined data type. The example of user-defined data type is structure, union, and C++ classes. Okay, so two types of data type, built-in data type and user-defined data type. Example, here a class student. A class student can store a three different values of three different types, and that will be stored in a data object. Okay, class student in main function in C++, in a main function we have to create the object of a student class, so that object will store the information of roll number, name and percentage of that particular student. Okay, it means a data object is a container for all the data value. Okay, data object is a runtime entity. A data structure is a data organization, management and storage format that enables efficient access and modification. Remember the example of library that we have to correlate with the data structure. A data structure is the way to store the data in a memory in such a way that it can be retrieved, it can be accessed efficiently and easily. That is the data structure. Okay. I hope all of you got the concept of data structure and all the terms related to it. Now, how to represent a data? A data structure. How to represent a data structure? A data structure can be represented by using the triplet DFA. Okay, it can be represented by using a set of DFA where D stands for the domain, F stands for the functions, and A stands for the axiom. Now we'll see in detail what is domain. Domain is the range of values that the data may have. Function is the set of operations that can be performed on a data. And axiom is the set of rules with which the different operations belonging to the function f can actually be implemented. Okay, so data structure can be represented by using a set DFA. D stands for domain, F function, A axiom. Okay, consider one simple example of data structure represented by using a DFA. The data structure here considered is integer. The D is integer. Okay, so integer, for an integer, the domain D can be integer values or it can be a boolean values. Integer, that will consist of all the integer values. Okay, then set of functions for these integer. 0 is 0, add, increment. Okay, as I told, a data structure is some rules some rules that are required to build a relationship among the data. Okay, so a function f will contain all these functions required for the data. Okay, so just go through it in detail. I will explain all these later. Okay, so data structure can be represented by using a set DFA. Okay, and these are the some axioms that can be used for the integer. Now the next term is abstract data type, ADT. Okay, ADT is a mathematical model that includes data with various operations defined on it. Okay, ADT is a mathematical model that includes data with various operations defined on it. The implementation detail of ADT is hidden, which is why it is called as an abstract. In ADT, generally we specify the data and the operations that we are going to perform on that data. Okay, but how to implement that operation, that part is hidden, and that is why it is called as a abstract data type. The main focus of the programmer is only on defining the logical structure. What will be the data, what will be the data required for particular operation, and which are the different operations that can be implemented on a data. That's it. That is the ADT. Generally, ADT is defined as a logical property. Okay, why logical? Because we'll just give the overview. What will be the data, which are the operations that can be implemented on a data, and the encapsulation, binding of that data and operations together. But how that particular operation will be implemented, that part is hidden from the programmer, and that is why ADT is called as an abstract data type. Implementation details of the function is hidden. No need to give the implementation details. To represent a mathematical model underlying an ADT, we use data structure. To represent this mathematical model ADT, we use data structure, which is a collection of, which is a set of different variables of different data types and yes, interrelated operations between the data. So, the main focus in ADT is on the logical properties of the data rather than the implementation details. Okay, consider the example of list. Okay, list a list can store the homogeneous data, the data of same type. The list can store a non-homogeneous data. Now, a list can be implemented by using an array or a linked list or by using a file. Okay, so for a list, we can directly start. There are two ways to program for a list. One, directly start writing a program for a list by using any data structure, by using array, linked list or file. Another way, first write a ADT for a list. ADT, it means here we are going to write logically what data type that list will have and which are the different operations that can be performed on a list. So first design a ADT for a list and then of course write a program for that ADT by considering any data structure. Now a data structure can be array, it can be a linked list or it can be a file. But before writing a program, the second approach is before writing a program, the ADT is written. What is the advantage of writing a ADT? First, it will give a programmer a freedom or program the main while designing a ADT, the focus will be only on the operation, the functions that can be performed, right? So it will be simple, easier for the programmer later to write a program for a designed ADT. Okay, then ADT written, once the ADT written for a list, that can be implemented by using any data structure. It can be implemented by using array or a linked list. It means that once a ADT is written for a list for a particular application, it can be reusable. Consider one more application. Particular program requires a simulation of a queue. Okay, again, a queue can be implemented by using array, a queue can be implemented by using a linked list. But if we prefer the approach to write a ADT for a queue first, then the focus will be only on what will be the size of queue, which are the different operations that can be performed on a queue. For example, insert the element in a queue, delete the element from a queue, and then write a program, then implement a queue. Now, after writing a ADT, the program for a queue can be implemented by using a data structure array or it can be implemented by using a linked list. Okay, so what is the relationship between a data structure and ADT? We can say that ADT is a logical entity and ADT is a logical entity. ADT can be implemented by using a data structure with the help of any programming language. ADT can be implemented by using a data structure by using a any particular programming language for any application. ADT can write the ADT by using a mathematical model in such way, or we can write a C++ class for the particular application, that is again nothing but a ADT. Okay, so an ADT is a way of defining a data structure so that we know what is what it does, but how it does is hidden. Okay, ADT is a way of defining data structure where we know what the particular ADT is going to implement, what will be the output, but how it will do that operation, that will be hidden, and that is the ADT. Okay, there is a close relation between data structure, data, and abstract data type. ADT can be implemented by using underlying data structure with some programming language, but ADT is a reusable. ADT can be used once a ADT is written, it can be used for n number of times. ADT is a logical entity, and that's it. So, in this video, we have seen what is simple programming approach, then basic concepts related to the data structure. We have seen two three definitions of data structure and the related terms, that is what is data, what is data type, what is composite atomic data type, and built-in and user defined data type, and then what is ADT, abstract data structure, and at the last what is the relationship between ADT and data structure. Thank you.